In the dim and ancient depths of the ghostly dragon cave, tension suddenly rippled through the gathering of prodigies like a blade slicing across still water. The small sword emperor's expression shifted abruptly, his brows knitting together as realization struck him like thunder. "Oh no," he exclaimed sharply. The words burst from him with such urgency that the others instantly turned their eyes toward him. "Jiaming! He's still in Ling Han's hands." For a moment, the air froze. Then understanding dawned upon the others almost at the same instant. The flower of dead souls. Shushu Ran and the others shouted together, their voices filled with alarm. A heavy silence followed. They all knew what that meant. Only by possessing the flower of dead souls could one shield their divine sense and safely enter the fourth floor of this terrifying cavern. Without that mysterious flower, the fourth floor's invisible storm of soul attacks would shred a cultivator's consciousness to pieces before they even took 10 steps forward. Without the flower of dead souls, there would be absolutely no way to obtain the true dragon's tooth, and that tooth was the very reason they had come here. Their sect's supreme elders had already issued their command with unmistakable clarity. No matter the cost, the true dragon's tooth must be obtained. For that reason alone, their sects had spent enormous effort and resources to obtain the flower of dead souls and place it in their hands. Yet now, the one holding that precious flower had been Jia Ming, and Jia Ming had fallen into Ling Han's grasp. "Damn it!" one of them cursed under his breath, teeth grinding fiercely. Of all people, why did it have to be Jia Ming who carried the flower of dead souls? Frustration boiled in the hearts of all 4 of them. If they failed to complete this mission, even their lofty status would not protect them when they returned to their sects. They might be celebrated as young rulers of this generation, but over the past 10,000 years, how many such prodigies had risen within the 5 great sects? Countless. And this was only the lower realm. In the vast immortal realm above, the number of monstrous geniuses was far greater. If they wished to survive there and continue climbing toward immortality, they needed the unwavering support and cultivation of their sects. Without that backing, they would vanish into obscurity among the endless sea of prodigies. The immortal realm was simply too vast. Too many geniuses roamed its boundless lands. With them, the world would not gain much. Without them, the world would not lose anything. They were merely one drop in an endless ocean. After a moment of tense contemplation, determination returned to their eyes. "Let's go," one of them said decisively. "We'll head directly to the 4th floor and guard the entrance." Another nodded. If Ling Han wants the true dragon's tooth, he must eventually come there. That conclusion settled their course of action. Without hesitation, they stored away their treasures and quickly departed. Heading deeper into the 2nd floor of the ghostly dragon cave, their figures soon vanished into the blood-colored forest. Not long after they had left, another group quietly emerged from the shadows. Ling Han, Helian Sun Shui, and who knew? Ling Han chuckled softly as he raised his hand. Between his fingers bloomed a strange flower. "Hey, what incredible luck," he said with amusement. "To think Jia Ming actually carried such a treasure." The flower in his palm was snow-white, its petals pure and delicate. Yet at the center of the blossom, a swirling mass of black mist gathered like a fragment of night itself. As they watched, something even stranger occurred. The snow-white petals gradually shifted in color. Within mere moments, they transformed into a deep purple hue. Helian Xunshui gasped. "The flower of dead souls." Her voice carried unmistakable astonishment. "I never expected such an extraordinary flower to truly exist." Ling Han raised an eyebrow. "Oh," he said curiously. "You've heard of it before?" Helian Xunshui nodded. "Yes." She looked closely at the eerie blossom before continuing. "According to ancient legends, this flower originates from the netherworld itself. After someone consumes it, their spirit seems to descend into the depths of the netherworld, wandering along the boundary between life and death. In that strange state, one experiences the profound mysteries of life and death in their entirety." She paused briefly before continuing. "And the 4th floor of the ghostly dragon cave," her voice lowered slightly, "releases an extremely terrifying assault directly upon one's soul. No matter how strong a cultivator might be, even if they break through to the shattering void tier here, they would not be able to withstand that barrage. Ling Han looked thoughtfully at the flower. Then this flower of dead souls can neutralize that danger. Helian Sunshui nodded. Yes. The flower wraps around the soul like a protective cocoon. With that protection, the soul will not suffer the terrifying bombardment of the fourth floor. A smile slowly appeared on Ling Han's face. Without hesitation, he stored the flower of dead souls away. In that case, he said calmly, we're one step closer to the true dragon's tooth. Helian Sunshui felt her heart pound with excitement. At first, she had hardly dared to even imagine obtaining the true dragon's tooth. But now, with the flower of dead souls in their possession, it felt as though that legendary treasure was already calling out to them. If she could refine that true dragon's tooth, then her son's bloodline would be elevated to a truly terrifying level. There was a reason why all other parts of that ancient alternate dragon had dissolved into Dao and vanished. Only a single fang had remained, because that fang had reached divine grade. It was a genuine true dragon's tooth. Yet excitement soon gave way to concern. Helian Sunshui frowned slightly. However, those four will definitely be guarding the entrance to the fourth floor. I'm afraid entering won't be easy. She glanced toward the distant darkness ahead. There's also a time limit for how long the ghostly dragon cave remains open. When that time expires, everyone inside will either be expelled or trapped here for 500 years. Even with the Black Tower in their possession, that thought was terrifying. 500 years later, she said quietly, the outside world may be completely different. Ling Han's eyes darkened slightly. 500 years. In that time, Ma Duobao might have already split open the heavens, or the realm pill might have been successfully refined. But for Ling Han, the greatest concern was far more personal. His parents, his family. 500 years later, they would surely have turned to dust. That was something he absolutely could not accept. His gaze hardened. When the time comes, Ling Han said calmly, no matter the cost, we will charge through. His confidence was not empty bravado. In his hand was the Revere life sword, and if things truly reached the worst situation, he could unleash a portion of the Black Tower's power. With that power, he could instantly obtain the strength and speed of the shattering Void Tear. At that moment, breaking through the encirclement of those four would not be impossible. Hu Niu immediately slapped her small chest proudly. Niu will help you. Ling Han laughed softly and reached out to rub her head. With Niu helping us, he said warmly, we will definitely succeed. Hey! Hu Niu puffed up with pride. With renewed determination, the three of them continued their journey deeper into the cave. After walking for some time, Ling Han suddenly fell into thought. The flower of dead souls comes from the netherworld, he murmured. Could it originate from hell itself? He frowned slightly. The 5 great sects would never dare venture directly into hell. Then where did they obtain such a thing? Suddenly, a spark flashed across his eyes. The 1,000 Corpse Sect. The answer came to him instantly. The 1,000 Corpse Sect did not originate from the immortal realm. Their roots came from hell. If the 5 great sects had reached some form of agreement with the 1,000 Corpse Sect, then obtaining the flower of dead souls would not be impossible. Ling Han shook his head slightly. The depth of their cooperation has exceeded my expectations. Not long after, they encountered someone waiting ahead. A graceful figure stood calmly in their path, Xian Yu Kai. The moment she saw them appear, a smug smile curved across her lips. I knew it, she said triumphantly. You can't shake me off that easily. Ling Han sighed inwardly. Troublesome. He turned to Helian Sunshui with a faint smile. Should we kill her? Hu Niu's eyes instantly lit up. All right, she shouted excitedly. Niu wants to eat stewed dragon meat. She even began drooling. Xian Yu Kai's face turned pale. Why was this little girl so terrifying, eating dragon meat as casually as eating snacks? Helian Sunshui shook her head helplessly. Forget it, she said. She is still a princess of the Xian Yu clan. And for now, we are technically on the same side. Killing her would be difficult to justify. Only then did Xian Yu Kai release a breath of relief. She knew perfectly well that both Ling Han and Helian Sunshui possessed the strength to kill her. Yet Ling Han's next sentence made her heart leap into her throat again. Besides, Ling Han said casually, this is the ghostly dragon cave. If we kill her here, no one would know it was us. Xian Yukai's body trembled involuntarily. Heilian Xunshui laughed lightly. "That's enough," she said. "Stop scaring her." Ling Han's expression finally turned serious. "Stop following us. Otherwise, regardless of who you are, I will still kill you." Xian Yukai's stubborn pride immediately flared. She lifted her chin defiantly. "Then kill me," she said. "But do you dare?" After all, they were only on the second floor. Many cultivators passed through this area. She did not believe Ling Han would truly dare attack her here. Ling Han simply shook his head. Ignorance. This little princess had clearly been spoiled since childhood. Her temper was wild and unrestrained. If she had encountered someone less patient than him, she would have died long ago. The group continued forward. The environment of the second floor soon revealed itself fully. An endless crimson forest stretched before them. Every tree towered nearly 300 meters tall. Their branches spread wide like enormous umbrellas. From a distance, they resembled towering giants standing guard over the forest. Heilian Xunshui spoke with caution. "These are blood locust trees. They have grown by absorbing the blood and flesh essence of the true dragon. Among them, some trees have developed intelligence and the ability to cultivate." She continued seriously. "When that happens, they can uproot themselves and walk, and they hunt people. Those are known as blood locust tree men." Her warning carried weight. Before a blood locust tree man attacks, it appears completely identical to the surrounding trees. So we must remain extremely cautious. Every time the ghostly dragon cave opens, the number of people who die here is the highest. Ling Han nodded. It reminded him of the ambush they had carried out against Jia Ming. Even the strongest prodigies could die in an instant if caught off guard. Yet danger often walked hand in hand with opportunity. The blood locust tree men themselves were treasures. Within their trunks, a tree heart would form. Inside that heart was a trace of the alternate dragon's essence. Its effects were similar to dragon's bloodgrass. It was a priceless treasure fought over by many, thus even knowing the danger. Many cultivators intentionally walked beneath these towering trees. They hoped to lure the blood locust tree men into revealing themselves. If they could kill one, the rewards would be immense. Ling Han was planning the same thing. After all, the three of them possessed formidable strength. As long as they remained vigilant and avoided encountering a blood locust tree man king, they would not face too much danger. And within this crimson forest of towering giants, their hunt was about to begin. The ancient forest was silent, too silent. For a fleeting moment, even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Then, without warning, Shua, a vicious tree root, burst from the earth like a venomous serpent striking from the shadows. Its speed was terrifying, almost impossible to perceive. The target was Xian Yukai. The princess had been walking cautiously, alert after the dangers they had already encountered. Yet this ambush was simply too sudden. The root had emerged directly beneath her foot, giving her no chance to react. Before she could even lift her blade, the root twisted around her ankle. With a brutal jerk upward, her body was yanked into the air and flipped upside down. But the attack did not end there. More than 10 roots followed in an instant, writhing forward like living whips. They wrapped around her limbs, waist and torso in a tangled web, binding her tightly until she looked like a rice dumpling hanging from the branches. "Ah!" Xian Yukai let out a startled cry, her voice filled with shock. Ling Han turned his head to look at the scene. Then, unexpectedly, he burst into laughter. "I dare say," he remarked with amusement, "this must be a perverted tree." The way the roots had tied her was strangely artistic. Though Xian Yukai was completely bound, the vines had somehow tightened in such a way that her entire figure was outlined perfectly. Her graceful curves were accentuated instead of concealed. Most noticeable of all were her proud twin peaks, which stood out boldly as if 2 mountains rising beneath the ropes. It was an embarrassingly vivid display. Heilian Xunshui's face instantly darkened. Her expression turned extremely unpleasant. Did this ridiculous tree have no awareness at all? Of all things it could display, it had to show off another woman's chest in front of her. That was precisely what she hated the most. With a cold voice she asked, "Are you still not going to save her?" Ling Han chuckled. "Why bother?" He said lightly, "Why don't we just leave her hanging there? That way she won't keep following us." But just as the teasing words left his mouth, Shoo! Another branch shot out from the tree. This one was different. It wasn't trying to bind her. It shot straight toward her heart like a spear. Its purpose was clear. It intended to pierce through her chest and devour her life essence. Humph. Ling Han flicked his finger casually. Weng. The incoming branch was instantly knocked aside, bouncing backward as if struck by an invisible hammer. Yet the forest responded immediately. Shoo! Shoo! 7 more branches burst forward in succession, all aiming to kill Xian Yu Kai. Ling Han snorted. Still haven't learned your lesson? His palm turned, and the energy of heaven and earth gathered into his hand, earth overturning seal. His strike descended like a falling mountain. Pa! Pa! The 7 branches shattered instantly. Fragments of wood scattered through the air. From the broken vines, a strange green liquid sprayed outward, flowing like blood from a wounded beast. Then, ang! A furious roar echoed through the forest. The ground trembled violently. Before their eyes, a massive tree tore itself from the soil. Its colossal vines twisted together, forming 2 enormous legs that allowed it to stand upright like a monstrous giant. And hanging upside down from one of its trunks was Xian Yu Kai, swaying helplessly back and forth with every movement of the creature. It was a blood-locust tree man. Help! Help! After twice brushing against death, Xian Yu Kai finally lost her arrogance. Her voice trembled as she cried out desperately to Ling Han and the others. But Ling Han showed no hurry at all. Instead, he folded his arms and watched calmly. Perhaps letting this delicate princess suffer a little would teach her to behave. With a grin, he said to the towering monster, "You know, fighting isn't about shouting loudly." Hong, the blood-locust tree man, answered with violence. Its vines twisted together, forming a gigantic palm that smashed downward toward Ling Han. The attack was terrifyingly fast. The wind whistled behind it, yet the sound arrived later than the strike itself, proof of its overwhelming speed. Ling Han's eyes narrowed slightly. About 7 stars of heaven-tier battle power, he estimated calmly. In this place, where shattering void-tier experts could not enter, such strength was already extremely formidable. But Ling Han remained completely unafraid. He raised his hand once more. Earth overturning seal! Peng! The collision erupted like thunder. The massive tree man was blasted backward in a single exchange. Ling Han followed immediately, his figure flashing forward like lightning. Peng! 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 Several more earth-overturning seal strikes slammed into the creature in rapid succession. The colossal tree body trembled violently, cracks spread through its wooden trunk. Finally, the blood-locust tree man collapsed, its body breaking apart into scattered vines and splintered wood. Before anyone else could move, a small figure dashed forward like a nimble fox. Who knew? She began digging rapidly among the tangled vines. Moments later, she pulled something out triumphantly. "Ling Han! Ling Han!" she shouted happily. "You found the tree heart!" In her hands was a blood-coloured crystal about the size of a fist, the core of the blood-locust tree. Meanwhile, Xian Yu Kai sat on the ground, rubbing her sore bottom with a miserable expression. The fall itself hadn't hurt her. What truly stung was something else entirely. These 3 people had treated her as if she were completely invisible. She was the princess of a powerful clan, delicate and noble. Yet here she was, utterly ignored. Ling Han casually stored the tree heart. Now was not the time to refine it. Their time inside this mysterious realm was limited. Their real objective was still the legendary true dragon's tooth, so the group continued forward. They did not deliberately seek out the blood-locust tree men. However, if those creatures dared to ambush them, they would kill them without hesitation and harvest their tree hearts as spoils of battle. This forest contained an astonishing number of those monsters. By the time they continued deeper inside, they had already collected nearly 30 tree hearts. Along the way, they occasionally discovered broken weapons and shredded clothing scattered across the ground. Silent remnants of unfortunate cultivators who had perished beneath the blood-locust trees. A full day later, a tremendous explosion echoed from the distance ahead. Boom! From afar, they could see a massive tree twisting violently. Its vines had transformed into thick arms, unleashing endless attacks downward. Hellion Xunshui stared in shock. "That tree, it's almost at the shattering void tier, isn't it?" Even she wasn't confident she could defeat such a monster. Ling Han nodded. "Very strong," he admitted. "Extremely strong." If it weren't so difficult to break through into the shattering void tier, it might already possess that level of battle power. Even Ling Han felt this opponent would be troublesome. Without special methods, defeating such a creature would be extremely difficult. Unless he used the Ice Dragon Ground Blast formation. But despite this, none of them felt afraid. Even if they couldn't defeat the Tree Man, they could still retreat safely, and Ling Han still had that powerful formation hidden as a trump card. They moved closer. Soon they realized the gigantic Tree Man was not fighting alone. More than 20 cultivators surrounded it, battling fiercely. Ling Han narrowed his eyes. The Xianyu clan. He recognized several of them immediately. Among them was Pang Xin. Although their group numbered more than 20 people, they were clearly struggling against the colossal Tree Man. Every time the creature swung its enormous fists, most of them were forced to scatter in panic. Only one person dared face it directly. Pang Xin. Using his turtle shell as a shield, he blocked the monster's attacks head-on. Even when struck by the Tree Man's terrifying blows, he was merely sent flying backward. He never suffered serious injuries. Ling Han couldn't help but feel impressed. Such defensive power was truly shocking. After all, Pang Xin belonged to the turtle race, a race famous throughout the world for possessing the strongest defenses. In terms of durability, almost no other race could compete with them. Pang Xin's role was clear. He restrained the Tree Man from the front. Meanwhile, the other cultivators attacked from all directions, but the Tree Man's defense was equally terrifying. Blades and weapons could pierce its wooden body, yet they only carved away small fragments of wood. Damaging its roots was incredibly difficult. Furthermore, wood-aligned creatures possessed extraordinary regenerative abilities. Any wounds that appeared would soon close and heal. "Help them," Xianyu Kai suddenly shouted. Without hesitation, she drew her sword and rushed into the battlefield, though she acted prideful and tsundere most of the time. Her strength was real. She was only at the deity transformation tier, yet her battle prowess had already reached heaven tier. While she could not reverse the battle by herself, strength still mattered. "Princess Kai!" Pang Xin and the others exclaimed with joy when they saw her arrival. Ling Han, however, remained where he stood. He had no intention of interfering. "There should be life-saving trump cards among them," he said calmly. "They won't die here so easily." "Perfect timing. We can finally get rid of that stubborn little girl." Helian Xunshe snorted. "She's beautiful and her chest is so big. Why are you pretending to be reserved?" She was still clearly annoyed that the Xianyu clan had once tried to marry Xianyu Kai to Ling Han. Ling Han burst into laughter. With a swift motion, he grabbed Helian Xunshui and carried her forward. "Don't be so jealous," he said playfully. "Let's go." "Carry! Niu wants to be carried too." Who Knew immediately ran after them. Their destination was obvious. From anywhere on the second floor, one could see the gigantic tree stretching toward the heavens. If they wanted to reach the third floor, they had to climb that colossal tree. The space here was chaotic and strange, but that was perfectly natural. After all, this place existed within the body of an alternative dragon. In ancient times, even when immortals descended to the lower realm, they had been unable to slice it apart. Though the dragon had died from old age, its body still retained astonishing mystical power. Along the way, Ling Han and the others encountered several obstacles. More blood locust tree men attacked them. They cut down many of them, harvesting additional tree hearts. These battles slowed their progress somewhat, but within less than half a day, they finally arrived beneath the enormous tree. Ling Han looked up. From this close distance, the colossal structure looked even more unbelievable. Its trunk was as wide as a mountain, and within that immense wooden body, they could faintly see something resembling bones forming deep inside. "Wait," someone murmured in disbelief. "Is this really a tree?"